Welcome back to ReZero Anime Review, episode number 37. This is reviewing the 49th episode of the season, Choose Me! That's the name of the episode. And this one's out from the rest of chapter 6 and goes through chapter 7. There is a good chunk of stuff, a lot of stuff happened this episode. Mostly it's set in a couple different locations per se. Like, first you have a little bit of wrap up with Roswell and Rem, where Roswell lost and Rem won despite being injured. So, and of course, do flashbacks of last week's episode where she confessed her feelings for him, and despite the fact he came sort of in the way of rejecting her because he's still in love with Echidna. So, he proceeds to heal her because he kind of forgives her for destroying the book. And that's it for him for a bit until a little bit later on. Meanwhile, though, Emilia, who has completed her trials, comes out and sees the townspeople. Yep. Now, in the book, she did complete all three of her trials in book 15. Yes, why in the world it took until book 15 to finally complete these books, these trials, don't know. So, snow has started falling. Yes, it's happened in the book as well. And I don't think this was Roswell who did it this time, because last time they had snowfall in the sanctuary, it was Roswell who did it. This time, I don't think it was him. At least I don't think. But there is a creature who shows up here. Oh, yes. So, Emilia herself basically, like, as soon as she got to try to go see, first see a tree, ice tree, go see Roswell and Rem, where she sees that Roswell is trying to heal Ram, and basically tells him, live, do not die. And she said, I would never give up on anybody ever again. And basically, kind of in the way, probably off screen, drags him to the graveyard, which is where everybody is. Now, the trials are technically over. And before she goes to see Roswell and Ram, she goes to the facility. Yes. Which is interesting, though, the fact that she's done this. I mean, it seems like almost every character has come to this facility. I mean, first it was Subaru and Garfield who went to this facility. And then I think Otto's been here too. Of course, Roswell has been here. Jumping Flashback's been here. Like, it seems like every single character who's been this season so far for this arc has particularly went to this room, except for Francesca and Petra. I have a co-worker name. I mistaken her Petra because the name sounds similar, but nope, it's Rita. That's how she pronounces her name. That's what I call her. So, yeah, of course, Petra is in the episode very briefly to the very end of the episode. Don't worry, I'll get to her. So, they explain that, well, they had to stop this one person from unlocking the seal. Of course, the other one doesn't anyways. One of the clones. They said, oh yeah, I've heard of the hags, like, you're a bunch of little girl clones. That's basically what you all are. And then they go see Roswell, and then that conversation. And then she basically has to go back to the graveyard because she's confronted by one of the witch gluttony creations, the Great Rabbit. Yep, the Great Rabbit, where she basically destroys a lot of these rabbits. Meanwhile, though, at the burning mansion, Subaru tries a few times to get Beatrice to leave with him. Well, basically, the former contractor to him. That's basically what he's doing here. And it's spot on to how, like, they do a bit of flashback of how she first got the library from Echidna. Though for some reason, in flashback, they're not allowed to show her face for some reason. Which, the viewers know what she looks like. Why the heck would you have to hide her face for? It makes no freaking sense. We know it's Echidna. Why the heck is it being hidden? Do not really know. Then, of course, like, wait for that person. Beatrice thinks, oh, is Subaru that person? No, he isn't. After several attempts and going through a few different doors, he eventually comes to the very last door and convinces her to save him because he basically burned his hand while opening up a door. And yeah, then she pretty much just, well, after they talk for a while, basically convinces her that she first basically to give up, and then of course first time we went back there in this episode, after basically telling her he's not that person, and then she starts cracking the Forbidden Library. Yeah, pretty much the dimension was destroyed because of the fire going on. Then eventually, then she finally basically. And of course, we have this wonderful image. In case you want to know, does the cover image of the actual book itself does make appearance in the episode? Well, at some point in this set of episodes, yes, in this very episode. The only difference is that on the cover, she's basically not holding it in her hand. In the episode, she's holding her gospel in her hand. Then, of course, she eventually agrees to form a contract. Well, she basically agrees to go with Subaru to basically save him. And then they fly off. Yes, they fly. And we cut to briefly outside of the burning mansion. Like, oh, maybe Subaru's going to die. But that's what Otto's thinking. And then, of course, Petra just, of course, smacks him. And says, look, there he is. Subaru's alive. And, of course, Beatrice was like, Subaru, Subaru, Subaru. He's like, yep, that's my name. We do briefly see Francesca and Garfield. Of course, Francesca. Like, if you're curious, though, like, okay, why is she naked? Well, she transformed. She's a half-beast woman, so of course she would. But at least, now, the other thing is, it's like, okay, you have a reappearance by Garfield and Francesca, and they have no dialogue in this episode. Like, really? Well, this is kind of true to the book. My only guess is the reason why the anime threw these characters two in is because they're probably at this particular scene in the novel, so why not? This is says they weren't there. And then we have Subaru fight with Emilius, which is at the graveyard, battling against the Great Rabbit. And then here's Subaru, basically all big, powered up, and he's holding Beatrice's hand, and basically saying, oh yeah, don't... And of course, they kind of bicker like typical stuff, and that's the episode ends. If I remember correctly, I think this is how Chapter 7 ended in the book. Which, kudos for the fact that the thing ended at a high note. Great episode. Can't wait for next week, which I think might be the season finale. I don't think it's confirmed yet. I think it might be the season finale that's airing next week. That, or they're probably going to have... I'm hoping because there's one more week this month. There are 5 Wednesdays. And the first half of the season did end at the end of the month. I think it was back in September, I believe it was, when it ended. Yeah, it was in September. It started in July and ended in September. I'm kind of hoping, because we have an extra week here, I'm kind of hoping we get an extra episode. Maybe a 51st episode of the series. Who knows? We'll find out after next week's episode. Yep, so yeah, that's a particular review. Stay tuned if it actually powers to come out, well, upload, say, the newest episode of The 7 Deadly Sins. Yep, I'm going to be talking about that. Hopefully it powers to upload the actual website. If not, I'll probably save for tomorrow, along with my reviews for Dr. Stone and the Quintessential Quintuplets, which, as far as I can tell for those two, they're both reaching their Quintessential Quintuplets. From what I can tell, there's not a set number of episodes. For Dr. Stone, there's effectively one more episode left, and that's it for the season, until whenever season comes out. Yep, see you next video. Bye.